Tales from afar, stories to burn, dodgy old geezers and lessons to learn. From Alfred to Jerry, the scamps and the graft, they're spilling the beans and having a laugh. Mark, Annie and Pete, they're talking matter for you. Old school charm and a pint or two. So press play now, don't miss a treat. You'll love the stories, put it on the slate. Tales galore and so much more. So listen now with her indoors.
Hello there, I'm Pete.
I'm Andy,
And I'm Mark.
and you are listening to On the Slate. Welcome to On the Slate, a podcast dedicated to all things Minder, where we are rewatching, reviewing, and rating every single episode of this classic show. Tell us, Pete, what are we discussing today?
Today, Andy, we will be talking about Series 1, Episode 2, entitled Bury My Half at Waltham Green.
Yes, Bury My Half at Waltham Green was the second episode of Series 1. It was written by Paul Wheeler and directed by Christopher King. And it originally went out on Monday the 5th of November 1979 at 9pm.
Along with the regulars Dennis Waltham and George Cole, it also starred Nicky Henson, Kenneth Cope, Tony Selby, and the wonderful Anne Lynn as Rose Mellors. Okay, set the scene for us, Pete. Where are we?
Okay, well, in this episode, Arthur gets Terry to mind former bank robber Albert Stubbs. Recently released from prison, Stubbs doesn't intend to share his buried treasure with his former partners in crime, and it's not long before the formidable Rose Mellors is on his tail.
So, here we are with Series 1, Episode 2. Thanks for making it this far. I understand that most podcasts don't make it to Episode 2, so we're already winning.
Woo!
So, Bury My Half at Waltham Green. After the sort of Sweeney-esque opening episode, Gunfight at the OK Laundrette, we're on much more familiar territory, aren't we, with this episode?
Definitely. It feels like a classic Minder episode of later years. It's sort of it really feels like the show's hit the ground running now. It really feels like that this would go on to be sort of more the template of what Minder was to become later on.
Do you agree with
I
that,
do
Pete?
think I agree with that. I also think it's got that slight hardness that a lot of the earlier episodes had, that slight grit. Like the Kenneth Cope characters, he's quite a main character, and there's lots of humour there as well. But I think that edge gives it the edge, no pun intended, so to speak, etc.
Yeah, so I think if you haven't already watched this, I urge you to do so now. There's a lot to enjoy here, and the podcast, there's no way of doing this without spoiling it, is there really?
No.
So it's readily available on ITVX with adverts, or there's a very decent copy on YouTube without. So we've got no excuses but to watch along with us.
Or the episode that I taped off ITV4, which had a man doing sign language in the bottom corner throughout the whole thing.
And did that add to it?
In part, I did end up going and watching it on YouTube as well, just so I had a clearer view. Because it's literally a quarter of the screen it takes up.
Yeah, it must be, like, some of the things must be really difficult to do, aren't they? Like some of the... Do they have
Rhyming
signs
slang?
for... Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I wonder how he navigates that, the poor fella.
Did you think he just makes it up?
Jam jar. I'd just take them. I'd take an apple and a pear and a jam jar with me, and just put them up. That's good enough for sign language, surely.
But there is some very baffling, obscure rhyme and slang throughout Minder, so I think it might have pushed even the most how can I say the signer with the most prowess to the edge of his talent or her talent.
Indeed.
I think we need to add though, gents, that obviously we are supportive of the hard of hearing community being able to enjoy these classic shows as well. I'd hate for anybody to think that we had a problem with it.
No, not at all. But would you not rather watch it with subtitles?
That's their choice. That's their choice.
It only takes up a small bit of the screen at the bottom as opposed to a quarter of the screen with a bloke in a purple jumper.
Okay, so we've alienated a decent amount of the country now.
We've drifted far.
Yes.
Yeah, very early on.
So let's get to the episode, shall we? Do you want to give a sort of run through what it's about, or do you want me to do that, or does one of you want to let everybody know?
Mark, do you want to do a brief summary?
I could do. I'm going to have to try and remember it. I have in my notes. I've obviously made detailed notes. But it starts in the sauna, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, he's. I mean, you're a lover of the bad actors or the. And what do you think of senior? Is it Gabetti or Galetti?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't work out whether he was Italian, Jewish, or American, or all three. He could have been an Italian, Jewish, American. I think the official line is he's Italian. But it's some bad acting, and there is a bit of, you say bad or overacting in this episode, and that's the first bit. Luckily, it's so early, and it's not a main character that it doesn't draw away attention from the rest of the episode. But it's it is poor. There is the first mention of "Oh my God," which is a very popular saying in my household, both from me and my wife. And which so I think it's not mentioned in episode 1, so this is the very first mention in Minder, which and obviously becomes a classic catchphrase of the series.
Yeah, I mean this guy, he's like, I don't know about you guys, but because not wishing to let daylight in upon magic, but we've had to cancel this a couple of times, so I've watched it a few times, and the first time you think, I can't, what is this guy doing? But the more I watch it, the more I love him. He's brilliant, and he's channeling like who's the guy? Was it Heart to Heart? When they got together, it was murder, and he's doing like, you're the best, aren't you? You tell me, yeah. And it's like, it's just ridiculous. You're some kind of genius. But it's very funny, and it's not. I don't think it's supposed to be funny, but it is very funny. But
I mean, shall we take a moment to just not run through every single scene or anything like that, but just to give a plot overview?
Yes, that was basically the question I asked, but Mark then went off about something else.
Yeah, that's his stock in trade.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's basically there's been a bank robbery however many years ago, and what is it? It's Albert Stubbs was the getaway driver and got 4 years, did he, or 5? And the others, Charlie Mellors and what's the other guy's name? No one know?
Can't remember.
No. But they still doing. They got 15 years, and so Albert Stubbs is coming out, and he's going to come and dig up the money, but he's not keen on sharing it with anybody else. And Terry's been assigned to mind him, but it's not. I mean, spoiler straight away, but it's not him, is it? It's a, what would you call it? A double or
a decoy. Yeah,
decoy.
I was quite surprised about it because I'd forgotten that from obviously when I'd seen it many years ago, and rewatching it, that did catch me by surprise. So that was a genuine twist, and there's quite a lot of twists in this episode. I like it. It's I think as an episode overall, I think it's really, really good. And they set up like Charlie Mellors as a proper villain. Like they call him the Dillinger of Dagenham, and
yes.
So it's really setting the scene as like this is a proper hard man. Don't mess with this guy. And yeah, I think the whole setup is really good.
And but his wife's supposed to be even scarier, which is
Yes.
and
And
even
proper, really good acting in this episode from Anne Lynn. She is really, really good.
Yeah, she's superb, isn't she? In this.
I think.
And so,
sorry, go on, Andy.
no, you go.
No, I'm probably diving ahead into the sort of analysis, and so no, you go ahead with your sort of summary of what's going on.
No, I was just going to say. So we've had Signor Gabetti or whatever he is, and then we've got Arthur with what we assume at the start is Albert Stubbs, but it's actually George Wilson. It's played by Nicky Henson. And what do we know about Nicky Henson?
He's an overactor. This is
what do you know?
This is really he was married to Una Stubbs, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was married to Una Stubbs, yeah. And then he left her. He had an affair with Susan Hampshire, which is very 1970s thing to do. I mean,
there's a lot of 1970s references in there, isn't there? That's brilliant.
Yeah. So he's doing this thing of being like a reluctant, sort of looked after person, and like giving Terry the run around and attracting attention and all sorts. Is that particularly kind of relevant to the overall sort of conspiracy at foot, or is that just him just being a bit of a berg to wind Terry up?
Yeah, because Terry doesn't know he's a decoy.
Yes.
And but he really sets out to annoy Terry. He calls him the wrong names.
Tommy.
And he just... Yeah, and he's really just trying to irritate him, drinking his beer, running away when Terry's not looking, and running down the pub. And yeah, it's just sort of just playing devil's advocate almost, but it's like really over the top. And I think
Go on.
Well, I just think I think if I was the director here, I think you're going to try and rein it in a little bit, because it's one of the weaker bits of the episode. I think he really hams it up in this role.
Pete's query is a valid one, which I was going to ask exactly the same thing. Why is he doing that? Why is he? Because it doesn't seem to make sense. Is he just a lunatic?
It's at odds with the plan, which is presumably to remain undercover and a decoy for as long as possible, to allow the others to do what they need to do. But he keeps giving them the slip and just causing general annoyance.
I think Terry because I think Terry does phone Arthur, doesn't he? And he says he's asking me for a bit of "How's your father?" He says, "Oh, you can't blame him. Prison does that to a man." But he says then that he's a lunatic, doesn't he? He said is he all there? So I think maybe that is part of it, that he isn't all there, and he's playing someone who's a bit of a nuisance.
Yeah. Well, no, I think you've probably nailed it there, Andy. That's probably he's pretending to be kind of the wild man of, Wormwood Scrubs or wherever it is that he gets picked up from. Is that the Scrubs, incidentally?
It is, yeah.
It is, yeah. But
either of you ever spent any time in there?
Yeah, I've walked past it once.
Yeah, me too.
Where is it?
It's down by the river, Shepherd's. Yeah, Wandsworth Way.
Ah, right. Okay. So
Steptoe and Son.
Right.
Area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
go.
Well, I'm just saying, meanwhile he's given Terry the runaround, whilst pretending to be someone he's not, in order to put other villains off the scent. And so this might be a good time there. I know we've already mentioned it, but we have the inimitable Rose Mellor and her heavy Jack, played very memorably by Tony Selby. And this is I think where the episode gets really interesting.
yeah, I mean, she's really good in this, isn't she? And I mean, I remember her from Just Good Friends mainly, but I think she's been around for a long time. I think, like we had last week with Dave King, I think she would have been quite a familiar face, wouldn't she, when she's in this?
Yeah, but she was married to, she married to Anthony Newley?
Well, was married to Tony Newley, yeah.
So we've got Dave King and Anthony Newley mentioned in the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, everyone seems connected, don't they, in these things? But yeah, she's really good. And do you like Tony Selby? Do you think that some of the comedy clumsiness is a little bit overdone, or
It is slightly overdone, but he's quite a likeable actor anyway, isn't he? So I think he gets away with it. I have put down he's playing an idiot and he's very clumsy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's maybe just a touch over the top, but it gets away with it in my opinion.
Yeah, I think because I remember, I don't know about you guys, but I think I remember this from, probably not when it was first on, but from back in the day. I remember watching it with my sister and her finding him, or both of us finding him really funny, and that's what stood out. And as soon as you watch it again, you're like, oh God, I remember it. I remember this, and I remember him. When you watch it as an adult, it's a little bit like, but I think it's partly the direction maybe, rather than the acting, because like some of the setups, like they just show the flower pots and then he kicks them, and it's a little bit, you know.
I'm easily pleased because I'm sat here giggling.
Yeah, and he drops everything, and he like leans on something and he knocks it over and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it is fun.
And the real surprise is that when he like tackles Terry for a fight in Terry's flat, when he's been given away as to their location, that the fact he actually manages to knock Terry out. Obviously, it is partly from a distraction elsewhere, but you wouldn't. He's so clumsy, you'd think he'd miss with his cosh when he tries to whack him over the head.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, he's kind of an unlikely hard man, isn't he? In some ways, I don't know. I suppose he seems like a fairly biggish guy, but he doesn't seem like a likely hard man. But then I think as we go on,
he does do a villain in the Sweeney, Andy, really well, like a legit nasty piece of work where there's no comedy.
Yeah, he's a good actor. He was a really good actor.
Yeah. They're an interesting little kind of double act.
They are.
To maybe counteract Arthur and Terry.
Yeah, and that does seem. Do you think that was deliberate? That because you never really get the sense of what his relationship is with her, do you? Other than, and he's obviously not been in that job that long, has he? Because he doesn't know who Albert Stubbs is. So, but
yeah, interesting. I hadn't fully thought that through, but yeah, you're right. Are they kind of a, on one hand you've got Arthur and Terry bumbling about the criminal fraternity, getting into scrapes, and then you've kind of got this, their counterparts doing the same.
Yeah.
Where she's the brains of the operation, as arguably Arthur is, and he's the big lump who hits people, which, as we know, is a ongoing frustration of Terry's throughout the entire series. That's kind of what he's there for, and that's how he's viewed and stuff like that. I think they managed to get the. We discussed last week how the first episode veered into sort of Sweeney type territory at times. Yeah. And although it is funny, and I think we all agreed we've really grown to sort of love the episode, it was an unusual. It's not a typical Minder episode, although it is a classic Minder episode. This, like you said at the beginning, this feels like a template being set. There's a bit of a farce element in terms of the they're chasing around after something. Then you've got the sort of the Nicky Henson pretending to be somebody else to put people off the scent, and then you've got the bumbling idiot Tony Selby, and a really memorable female villain who, well, again, spoiler alert, Terry ends up doing the bizzle with her.
And this is Terry's first one, isn't it? And a much older woman, but he's.
What, you mean he was a
She's
virgin
attractive.
before this?
Yeah.
Do we think the Linda Regan thing didn't end successfely?
We don't know, do we?
Yeah.
I mean, he left
Some
in a
things are better
taxi
when you
with
don't
Arthur.
know.
Yeah, he left in a taxi with Arthur, didn't he? Not with her. So,
Very true.
so yeah.
So how does it conclude? Just remind me.
What's that?
How does the episode conclude? Like, how does the whole scenario conclude? I'm assuming everybody ends up with nothing. Am I right?
Well, it
Oh,
ends
yeah,
up that
this-
all the money that they've stolen is no longer legal tender because they've originally stolen it, I think, in £10 notes, but they wanted to put it through a fence, so they changed it all for £1 notes, and that became a not legal tender in 1978. So you'd have had to go to the Bank of England to change them up for current tender, and they didn't really want to take that amount of stolen money to the Bank of England. But there's a lot of to and fro before that. We've got it's a great visit to the pub when they're saying it's daylight robbery, that it's 52p a pint, and
52p.
as a
Urgent
matter of
to, I think
context,
you'll find.
I went for a curry at lunchtime today, and someone ordered a pint of Coke, and it was £7.
Wow.
That was scandalous.
That is daylight robbery.
So also we haven't mentioned that the real Albert Stubbs is played by Kenneth Cope, isn't he? And he's been hanging out with Arthur, drinking Arthur champagne. And I think I've mentioned this to you before, but I think he's slightly wasted in this. I think Kenneth Cope. Do you think?
He's sort of acting against type in a way, isn't he?
Yeah.
He feels a little bit underused. I mean, he's very good, obviously.
Oh, he's always good, isn't he? It's always good
Yeah.
to see him. But I don't know about what you would think about this, but after watching it for about the 5th time, I thought, wouldn't it have been good if Kenneth Cope had played the George Wilson character rather than the Albert Stubbs? Because I think he wouldn't have quite overdone it as much as Nicky Henson does, and I thought maybe he could have been that part rather than Albert Stubbs. But that's just.
I think that's a really good shout. He would have got the balance, and I like Nicky Henson. Like you said, maybe he just didn't get the sort of requisite direction, but Kenneth Cope would have got the balance, the sort of nuance, just a little bit better. To me, it's a strange. I agree, he's underused. He's kind of doing this quietly menacing type thing. Doesn't quite ring that true.
It doesn't, does it?
And it's not, not necessarily expecting him to do his Vic Spanner routine from Carry On to Your Convenience or whatever, but or equally, his Randall and Hopkirk routine. But it's just very quiet and just a bit weird, actually. Just a bit just hits the wrong note, I think.
Yeah.
But he is good, and sadly recently departed. Had a really good innings, didn't he?
Yeah. Because
We got to see Arthur's. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say Nicky Henson died a lot younger. No, I don't think young.
Yeah.
But he's
He wasn't that old. Yeah,
No.
he wasn't that old. Sad.
I think there are a couple of location things in this one, weren't there? Because we got to see Arthur's flat,
what's
and
that
we
all
get
about?
the Terry's address gets read out on the radio.
Can you remember what it is? He's
I can,
shuffling
because
your
I've written it
notes.
down.
Yeah. My
Flat
notes are
4,
down.
14 Langford Road.
Okay. Have you looked it up?
No, I haven't. But and Minder.org has some great location notes on this sort of thing. So yeah, it was a shout out to them. If you ever want to know anything about Minder, go and have a look at their website because they've got some great.
Don't listen to
great
this.
breakdown. Yeah,
yeah.
great breakdown of every episode and locations.
You'll know less than you came in with if you listen to this.
Yeah.
Just a quick note on the Kenneth Cope character, and I'd be interested in your views on this. Like, ultimately, Arthur is basically being a bit of a middleman fixer for some very heavy duty villains in this episode, and he's very covert about it and hasn't filled Terry in and stuff like that. Is that particularly? I think as the show goes on, he's always on the fringes of sort of criminality or the criminal community, but never quite so like deep into it. And I know none of this is real, so it doesn't really matter. But it just seemed to me a little bit unusual, or not unusual. Just it as I think as the series goes along, when there's a heavy person, they're often portrayed as being really heavy and come with a bit of a backstory where everybody says, "Oh, you don't mess with him," and generally there's a kind of an agreement that they just steer clear of proper heavy criminals rather than as opposed to like 2-bit criminals down the Winchester, like Scotch Harry and so forth. So yeah, what were your views on that?
Well, I was thinking that if because if this was made like a year or two later, if it was like series 3, 4, something like that, the Rycott or Chisholm would have been involved chasing the money as well, wouldn't they? I think, and as you say, it's a bit too heavy for them, because if they got caught, this is something that you would go down for quite a long time for, wouldn't it? Because it's 50 grand of money that's been stolen from a bank, and it is probably a heavy duty thing. So yeah, I don't think that isn't typical, and I think maybe they would have had Chisholm or Rycott chasing them as well, which I think would have added a kind of extra dimension to it as well, wouldn't it?
But it's almost like how did they get involved with it to begin with? How does Arthur know Albert Stubbs? It's never mentioned. Let alone how does he know George Wilson to have him, unless Albert introduced him to George to say, look, he can cover for me.
I think that must have been
yeah, but the first time you see them, they're in the police station like the day before he's due to be released, and they're talking to each other about his release. And again, George Wilson, as it turns out, is sort of playing up a little bit. But how did he know Albert Stubbs? And because that's probably the sort of the doubts
also,
as to how they got involved with such heavy villains.
Yeah, one thing I noticed as well when Arthur is with Albert Stubbs in Arthur's flat, I think he's got a bit more of a slightly posher accent as well, which I don't know whether he's putting on. But the guy's a bank robber. I don't know why you have to put on a slightly posh accent, but that's kind of what he did, and it was giving him champagne and stuff, which all seems a bit. He was a getaway driver in a bank robbery. He's not like royalty.
Well, I had a bank robber round earlier on, and I did give him champagne. So
there you go.
But I think it comes back to what we discussed last week, which is the kind of evolution of Arthur and George Cole finding his feet with the character. So I think. I don't know do you know when this was filmed in terms of series 1?
I think I read that it was June or July 1979, but I'm not sure in which order it was filmed.
Yeah, no, I don't
probably one of the earlier ones, I imagine. Because come the first episode as we know it, I do feel like we see Arthur as we know him, but like you say, Andy, he's got that slightly posh accent. I think he's probably trying to steer away from the Flash Harry persona that he was obviously, and maybe trying to be a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a little bit more, I don't, as we've said, he's hanging out with a little bit more sophisticated, and but then we see him like pulling birds and stuff like that, and it's all a bit weird.
Yeah. And also because like some of the dialogue earlier on in the episode when he's talking to Terry, it's like quite quick fire kind of banter, isn't it? And then he's doing it as Arthur would, as we know and love Arthur. But then later on, he's like a little bit, oh, don't worry, old chap. And it's a bit more like that, isn't it? And so I think he is trying to find his feet with it.
But I think probably what they did at the end of series 1, they went back and looked at all the episodes, and this is clearly one of the templates they thought this could work as we write for series 2 or whatever. It feels like this is the closest one maybe out of the first series, which as I said, it is very different than what followed. This feels like the closest to a future Minder episode. In style and comedy, the banter on it as well. It's just it feels very much this is how we're going to take it. This is probably the best one. We'll give anything away, but I think this is my favourite one from series
of all time.
Of series 1.
Ah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one of mine as well. I think, don't spoiler alert. We want people to keep on listening. But yeah, no, it is a good one, but it does take a while to find its feet, and I mean, we'll discover that as we go on, and that's part of the joy of it, isn't it?
Well, on that note, I'm going to appear to be making a sort of a dubious leap or jump, but I suppose I was just going to reflect that in those days programs were given a chance to sort of breathe and find their feet and develop. Another famous example is Only Fools and Horses, which the first ones are really good, but it did take a while to really kind of come into its own. And the reason I mention that is the lady who plays Rose, is it Rose Mellor or Mellors?
Mellors.
I believe she turns up as Raquel's previously estranged mother in the episode of Only Fools and Horses where Grandad serves them, Uncle Albert serves them coffee to pour on their roast dinner.
Which is the most watched TV show in the history of the UK, in terms of an actual TV show rather than an event like a royal wedding or something. It's the most watched show.
Right, there you go. So she got about.
And I think, and I've tried to look for verification on this, but it is nowhere. In fact, AI tells me it's not correct, but I don't believe AI. But I'm pretty sure Anne Lynn is also in that same episode of Only Fools and Horses, which is Time on Our Hands. Yeah. She plays the voice of Del Boy's mother at the end. She sounds really like. At the time when it came out, I thought that really sounds like the voice of Vince Pinner's mum from Just Good Friends. She's already acting in the episode, so I thought they said, well, while you're here, rather than doing your posh accent bit, can you do your Vince Pinner's mum bit for the flashback of Del Boy's mother when she speaks to him from beyond the grave? So that is my belief. I've tried to find this on websites and whatever for the last week, and I've got nothing. But that's what I'm going to advocate for. She was Del Boy's original mother.
So if anyone's listening or watching or whatever, please let us know. I would say, because most people know more than we do. So
that's a bit of a scoop. That.
Yeah, if that's.
I mean, it may be a complete lie, but no, I remember this at the time in '96 or wherever the Only Fools and Horses episode came out. Yeah, then I remember thinking that is Vince Pinner's mum,
and also like her connection with John Sullivan.
Yeah, John Sullivan. Yeah,
because I mean she was brilliant in Just Good Friends as well. So.
I'm a bit shocked when you mentioned earlier that she was in Just Good Friends, I didn't realise you meant that she'd played Paul Nicholas's mum.
Yeah.
That's a piss take. She's probably about the same age as him.
I reckon, yeah, she'd probably. So he was in his mid-30s then, and she'd probably been late 40s. So
yeah,
she could have been like a 15-year-old mum. Very common in Essex in those days. Very common in Essex now.
Yeah, I mean, she was.
People looked 50 when they were 30 back then. You know what I mean? And so I don't think she was as old as that. But I might be wrong.
So what year was Just Good Friends?
83.
Yeah, so she would have been
80 to
50.
86, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
and Paul Nicholas would have been in his mid-30s, wouldn't he?
This is riveting podcast. Someone look something up.
Yeah, we'll probably go off it. We'll look it all up after.
Yeah,
and,
no. So
yeah,
he was 11 years young. She was 11 years older than him.
Oh, yeah.
Right, yeah. He looked young in those days, though. He looks quite old now, doesn't he? But
he is quite old now.
He is quite old, and it's perfectly acceptable to look old, as we can all testify to.
Yeah.
But
I saw him on the tube recently.
Did you?
Yeah, in his full major gear. He's playing major in the Fawlty Towers play in the West End.
Oh,
yeah.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh,
did you say hello?
He goes to work in.
Well, maybe he just dresses the same as the major, but he definitely could have been. He definitely looked like he was dressed as the major.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't. I left him alone. I think it's try not to bother people.
Yeah. So, what else is there to discuss about this episode?
There's some great lines in it. And there's the Ronnie Biggs reference when they're talking about escaping to Brazil at the end, when they've dug up the money and they're all working out how they're going to split it up in Terry's flat at the end. And as he goes, what does it say? This is very smooth, but I've written it down somewhere. Give Ronnie Biggs a ring. You can doss down on his veranda. I think that is classic. That is classic Minder writing. It sums it up perfectly. And there's a bit earlier when Arthur's trying to convince Terry to do the job, and he's like, "On my sainted mother's grave." And he goes,
Oh, yeah.
"Oh, she's alive and living in Frinton."
Yeah, normally that would be okay, but I happen to know. Yeah, it's fantastic. Yeah. Oh.
I really enjoyed the other bits. I really enjoyed the Capri versus Capri car chase at the beginning. It's a really nice moment because they are very much they're driving a Capri, as in Anne Lane and Tony Selby. They're driving a Capri that looks remarkably like Bodie and Doyle's.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Which was still going at the time, so maybe that was a
yeah, I mean, it would have been an early... Yeah,
so maybe it was one of theirs, yeah. And is in Terry driving the one from the start, or is that a different car?
It's the same colour, isn't it? So it's the white one with the black hood.
Yeah.
So but that's a really nice bit of directing. For all we criticised the directing a little bit in terms of reining in Nicky Henson and the and the Italian Senor Hua, whatever his name is. But yeah, I think that's a really nice bit of directing with the car chase.
Yeah, that is quite good, isn't it? Yeah. So I think
I had something really profound to drop in there, and it's gone. Oh, here we go. In terms of the Minder template, that kind of situation where, and I think this became very standard. Sort of a very standard feature in Minder world, where there's some kind of scam or situation which leaves them all vulnerable or something like that. Arthur's still trying to pull a fast one or make a few quid, other people, and eventually it's Terry who says, basically, everybody stop, I'm in charge now, this is how it's going to work. And often he relates it back to the bottom line of, because I'm not going back to prison for anyone. And certainly not for like some scheme that he's not been privy to. So yeah, that just occurred to me. It's that becomes more and more like that pattern of Terry being duped into something without having like not even some of the facts, usually any of the facts. He gets duped and then kind of gets wise to it and then essentially gets them out of the shit one way or the other.
Yeah, because he is the moral compass of the show, isn't he?
Well, you're the moral compass of this podcast. And that's how screwed we are.
Yes.
But yes,
Yeah.
he is, you're right.
He's already offended the deaf people, so.
And he resisted the urge to say they won't be listening to this podcast in any case.
So on that, on what you just said there, Pete, the ending where they do the switch with the minis and stuff, and they try and dupe Rose and Jack, and following the wrong one and blah blah blah, and they do the switch. And but why then do they then go back to Terry's flat with the money? Because they know where Terry lives, and that bit doesn't make any sense unless what you're saying is that Terry wanted them to be caught because of their moral compass. Because otherwise, it doesn't make a great deal of sense. Because they do.
Yeah, there are a few. Yeah, there's quite a few things that don't necessarily make sense. They don't even need the two cars, do they? They could just drop off Albert Stubbs and drive off in Terry's car or any car. Or he could hide and they could still drive off in the single mini. They didn't need to find two identical minis and a lorry to fit it onto. It's
elaborate switcheroo, isn't it?
It's a big elaborate switch. You could just drop him off in another car and drive him somewhere else. Not back to a place where they know that they're going to go to.
What they didn't realise is 6 years later, three idiots will be dissecting it.
Picking it to pieces.
We're turning into these Star Wars people, aren't we?
Nothing wrong with Star Wars people, and
you know what I mean. How come he didn't recognise R2D2? Who gives a shit? Anyway, but yeah, so we shouldn't really be, nitpicking it that much. But some of it doesn't make any sense.
Bit of fun. It's reminiscent
Exactly.
a little bit of the Italian Job.
Yes.
Bit of trivia: the removal van driver is the legendary Tony Allen, who was Bill the driver in the Sweeney for years, and very coincidentally. So I'm looking to, as you lads know, and some listeners might know, obviously I put together annuals and stuff like that, and I'm trying to put together a new Sweeney annual, and I wanted to do a feature on Tony Allen, but there's very little out there on the internet about kind of, where he came from, what happened to him, etc., etc. So all I really know is, he's one of the monks in Carry On Abroad. He's Bill the driver in the Sweeney and turns up in Minder and possibly an episode of The Professionals. So I was at the Sweeney event, the Misty Moon Sweeney event on Sunday at the Cinema Museum, and there's a lady there who you'll have met, Lindsay, who spent lots of time on the set of Morse when she was younger, and she had loads of brilliant photos of her with John Thor and Kevin Whatley, blah blah blah. And then there was a picture with John Thor, probably towards the end of Morse, I think. And there was this older fella in the background. I went, "Oh, is that Tony Allen?" She went, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, what was he on there for? Was he like John Thor's driver?" And he was John Thor's dresser. I don't think in a sort of homoerotic sense, like the famous player. So I'm assuming that sort of came to be during the Sweeney, and then he kind of stuck with him. So yeah, for him to then turn up in this week's episode, just a little bit of a coincidence, a nice coincidence.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a CV. If you could be in Minder, the Sweeney, Professionals, and then dressing Inspector Morse, I mean that's and Carry On Abroad.
As a monk.
I'd die for that sort of CV.
Oh, well. So, do you think we should sum this up a little bit, or have we got any other business you want to discuss?
I think the barman. Obviously, this isn't in the Winchester Club. This episode, we've had a glimpse of the Winchester Club in episode 1.
Yeah.
If it really was the Winchester Club, but it's not. But it probably is the Winchester Club. Then we're switching from that. We're in the Bricklayer's Arms, and it seems quite a good. The barman seems quite involved, and he seems to know Terry very well.
It's quite a big part, isn't it?
It's quite a big part, and it's not in the credits at all.
No,
there's no sign of him. So yeah, that seems a bit strange. But I thought he was very good in it, and I quite like the look of the Bricklayer's Arms. But according to the website, it doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah, no,
so we can't go and visit it for a special little Minder pub crawl. But
yeah, that was my first idea. So that looks good, and it's gone. But yeah, he's good. It's James Green, isn't it?
And interestingly, just looking now, he's only recently passed away, 2021.
Oh, okay. He's like, you got a bit of an Egypt here, Terry, haven't you? He thinks he's a hard man. But yeah, that's a curious one. Because obviously he has basically the summing up at the end as well, doesn't he? He's like the key figure at the end as well with the money, and the fact that he didn't get a credit seems a little bit hard.
Yeah.
Because I always thought...
But really good in it.
Yeah, I always thought... Well, Pete, maybe you know better. I always thought if you spoke in TV programs, you were supposed to get a credit, or is that not?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I generally think you obviously got paid more. I get the feeling, like we mentioned last week with Linda Barron being uncredited. I get the feeling that they were just maybe a bit all over the shop at this point in terms of keeping a log of who was where and stuff like that. Because he was an established, just looking at sort of IMDb now, he was an established working actor, not a star by any stretch, but he'd had lots of speaking roles prior to that.
Yeah, and it's quite a big part, isn't it?
And then so I don't know, I can't really, don't think it'll be sort of any kind of, payment avoidance or anything. I just think maybe just a bit slack, but there was
They were all down the Winchester Club, as everyone should be in the 70s and 80s when they were at work. They were drinking most of the time, and the professionalism that exists in this day and age probably wasn't there then.
Well,
for good or bad.
There is probably an element of that. I mean, I think they were all half. I mean, apparently they were absolute killer crew, the Houston team, and that came up at Sunday's event. That you didn't have a better team than that. But yeah, I don't know. But yeah, it does do very well. A quick question to you as Londoners before we sort of wrap up. So this thing of Irish pubs, and the feature, a little bit throughout Minder, and obviously there's a famous episode where Terry's, it's like a theme Irish pub, and Terry's worried that they're all going to kick off. But I assume that was more of a North London thing. But there seems to suggest that there's quite a scene in, well, presumably West London?
Yeah, I mean it's very much sort of around the Kilburn area. Very popular, but there was South London as well, but maybe not as much. So
we used to drink
Stockwell. Stockwell has a pub called
in
the Swan, which is very very famous, or certainly was very famous when we were growing up, as somewhere where you could drink late and there'd be Irish music, and it was very very lively.
It was great.
Yeah, but there was probably more in North London.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Were there any sort of, low-level criminal fraternity types in there when you used to drink there?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah. It was really. Yeah, some of those places were really dodgy. But we used to go to avoid having to go to nightclubs, didn't we? Because
it stayed open till 2 a.m, which in those days was unheard of.
And you used to queue up, and they used to give you sausage and chips as well. Do you remember?
Yes, get a ticket for sausage and chips.
You pay to get in. I don't know, it was only a couple of quid, and you get a ticket to get a supper, sausage and chips. Fantastic. Used to come through on a little pulley thing, didn't it? What do they call those things where they wind it and the food comes up?
Is it like a Lazy Susan or something?
Lazy Susan.
No,
yeah.
that's it. That's the one you wheel in, isn't it? Rather than the one that comes down. I don't know, but yeah, we know the idea.
Yeah.
But out of
yeah.
interest, because we mentioned Time on Our Hands earlier as the Only Fools and Horses episode is the highest watched TV show of all time in the UK in terms of a one-off TV show. The second highest ever was broadcast the same week that this episode of Minder went out. Have you any ideas? What would you guess was the second highest ever recorded TV show?
I think I know. Do you want me to say?
Let Pete have a go first. Their first stab.
1979.
November. It was broadcast on November the 11th, 1979. It was the last episode of the first series of this particular show.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Appreciating you weren't born at the time, so it's a tough question.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm usually good with stuff. I just can't think of anything that would be such a huge. I know I'm gonna, obviously find out.
It's a surprise. It's still in the highest viewed shows in the UK, including everything, including Royal Weddings, World Cup finals, everything. It's Live Aid, everything.
Not
is still...
obviously. Cannonball or something like that.
It's not. Andy, what's your guess?
Is it To the Manor Born?
Yes, it is. To the Manor Born, which for whatever reason, I mean, there are lots of reasons, but it was hugely successful at that time, and it really caught, I don't know, something in British society, is like the nouveau riche against the posh, that sort of battle, which for some reason caught the zeitgeist of the whole country, and virtually 24 million people watched that last episode of series 1.
So I always thought with that it was that high because there was a strike with ITV and there was nothing else to watch. But that's not true? Clearly,
I mean, but quite possibly, but
because
it was very popular.
Because a lot of this first series of Minder was delayed and people didn't really know what was on there. I think even wasn't it even the TV Times wasn't being printed and stuff like that. There was loads of strikes going on, and I thought that it was something to do with that.
Yeah, could well be.
Yeah, but
To the Manor Born has 2 episodes, not just from the first series. There's another episode, I think, from series 3, which is ridiculously high in the all-time UK TV ratings. So it was very popular. Have you ever seen it, Pete?
I was just laughing at the fact that you did a big. It really captured the zeitgeist.
There's a strike.
There's a strike.
yeah. There's no.
Yeah, I've seen. I remember To the Manor Born.
Nothing else on, basically.
I can't say I'll be, reaching for me DVD box sets anytime soon. If I'm honest.
I've also got what the top 10 in the pop parade was when the episode was released. Now there's some proper classics in here. Proper classics. Right, 10 was the Commodores with Still. 9 was Selector, On My Radio. 8 was Viola Willis, Gonna Get Along Without You Now. 7 was The Jam, Eton Rifles. 6 was Fleetwood Mac and Tusk. So we're getting some proper big hitters now. 5 was Queen, Crazy Little Thing Called Love. 4, Sad Cafe, Everybody Hurts. 3, ABBA, Gimme Gimme Gimme. Probably their best song, pound for pound, maybe Waterloo. 2, Doctor Hook, When You're in Love with a Beautiful Woman, which has one of the best middle bits of any song ever. But number 1, so you've got a list of, there's probably 6 or 7 absolute bona fide classics in that. And number 1, I mean, I'd never heard the blooming song. And we were big pop aficionados at the time, but is Lena Martell with One Day at a Time. Any ideas?
Right.
I've got it queued.
Go on.
I've got it queued. Here we go.
Wow.
No.
Yeah. I'd never heard of it until I looked it up.
It blows my mind that the Jam and Fleetwood Mac with Tusk kind of coexisted. That's like...
and Queen and Sad Cafe and ABBA and Doctor Hook. It's a remarkable top 10, and then it's topped off by a song I've never heard of before. And that was number 1 for 3 weeks, and I've no recollection of it.
And I never want to hear it again from that little snippet.
No.
So
I tell you what, it's an earworm though.
Yeah,
I've listened to it twice.
Right, we're
well,
drifting.
speaking of earworms, we need to have our theme tune on soon. So what do we say,
we're
Andy?
drifting.
You're in charge.
Well, I think
We need to vote. Vote out of 10.
We're out of 10. What, Pete? You go first.
Ooh. I'm gonna go 8 out of 10. My reasoning being is it's so close to the perfect formula, but there's a couple of missteps. Nicky Henson going a bit OTT, Kenneth Cope being just a bit sort of dark and flat. But other than that, pretty damn good. And so yeah, I'm gonna go for an 8.
I'm going to go for a 9, and I'd echo everything Pete just said. But I absolutely love this episode. I really enjoyed it. It did make me laugh. I didn't expect the twist, even though I'd seen it years and years ago. When I watched it back, I really enjoyed it, and I think Anne Lynn is a superb performance.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with 8. And I think you've got to think of the future, haven't you? We've got 100 and however many episodes to go. So I'm going to go 8 out of 10. I think, yeah. And I think mainly because, as you say, Anne Lynn is superb in it. I think like when they looked at doing series 2, this is the episode they looked at and thought, this is the way we're going to go. And incidentally, they do come back, don't they? Rose and Jack, and it's the same writer, the same director. There's another episode with them later. So I think that it was really the blueprint for the future of the show, wasn't it? It's a very, very strong episode.
And that's interesting about them returning, because other than regulars and semi-regulars, like mostly who drink in the Winchester or the police, there's not really any sort of criminal antagonists who come back in the episode to basically have another tussle with Arthur and Terry, but sorry, in the series, but they do bring these back. So they've earned their place in Mind of Folklore for sure.
And on that, I know we want to do our special guest Hall of Fame. I don't think anyone was quite worthy, were they, last week? But Anne Lynn, definitely.
The character of Rose Mellors should
Mellors,
definitely go in the Minder Hall of Fame, I think. And then let's wait till series 2 when we decide whether Jack should go in as well. But Rose Mellors definitely in, I think.
I think so. Definitely.
So in terms of the Hall of Fame, they've got to really have stood out to make it in there. Let's not maybe put a limit on it, but we can't dish it out willy nilly.
No.
We're not Terry McCann with his willy nilly.
There's nothing nilly about his willy nilly.
Yeah, but no, yeah. So she's definitely in. But on that note,
our first inductee to the Minder Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
It's quite emotional actually. I'm overcome.
Another VAT on the slate for me, Pete.
Yeah,
excellent.
There you go. So next week, what we got next week?
Oh.
Scotch. I tell you, it's Scotch Harry's next week, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll see what we think of that. Will Scotch Harry get in the special guest Hall of Fame?
So we will be doing the Bizzo next week.
We will. We will be doing the
Excellent.
Bizzo. Yeah. Right, well, I think that sums things up nicely. You know what we think, so now it's your turn. So, how do they get in touch with us? We are on X and Twitter on the Slate Pod. I think we're on Facebook as well, or we should be by the time you hear this. And let us know what you think. we shall see you next time. Remember, kids, never buy a round of drinks. Always stick it on the slate. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.